recording and let's remove the screen. Well, I'm going to assume I am. All right, so today,
By the way, Sasha is going to be a bit late.
can you give me
He's going to
around
be
what
with his
time?
family. Yeah, let me ask him.
So we can wait 5 minutes or more, but
Yeah,
because
I don't really know about Romeo.
Romeo, it's kickboxing,
Let me
right?
ask him.
So it doesn't matter if he comes or not today.
Wait, did he say he weren't able to come today?
I don't think he said. I think he said. I don't know if he said that or not.
I think he can.
Ben, this is your first meeting with us today, right? Or,
Yeah,
all right,
same.
that's fine. Terran, today I'm going to be teaching more or less basic CSS. Can you catch him up with HTML for me, please? Anybody who doesn't really quite,
Um,
anybody who doesn't quite feel like they understand HTML well, you can go with Terrence. Okay.
okay, that's fine with me. Um,
It's going to be.
so is anyone here? Does anyone here need maybe more explanation on the HTML?
I think we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So do you want to go to general? Just
Yeah. This is going to
quick.
be. Give me a sec, guys. I just need to talk and make it fast. Oh. All right. We'll wait until 6:08, and then we'll just start. There. There. All right. All right. All right. I guess we'll start off now then. So, do you guys have a basic idea what CSS is and what it does?
I guess it's like attributes.
Attributes? Well, you could say that.
Attributes.
Yeah.
Attributes.
Attributes, yeah. What does it do with the attributes?
Like it can change what's still like displayed.
Yeah. It styles the hypertext, it styles the HTML, right? It just changes how it looks and what it does to make it look like that. So it's mainly a presentation scripting language, but it's not a programming language per se, right? It's like HTML. It's more meant for document making than anything else. It's not a programming language. Uh, so let's start off with the syntax real quick, right? So in CSS, we first start off with something to select from, right? A selector. Then we have the curly braces. And after the curly braces, we have properties. Right? We have the property, and we have value. Right? This isn't. Yeah, right. So we have the selector, which can be anything like this selects what's the element, like in let's say a H1. I'm keyboard. H2, like an H2, that's an element. So any H2 document, any H2 tag in the HTML document will have these properties changed to these specific values. So if you wanted to make the text go to the center, we would say text dash all. Term. Right? You following me so far?
Yep.
All right. So we have the properties and values with tags, but first you need to select stuff. Now, elements aren't the only thing you can select in CSS, right? We can also select classes, and to do that, let's say I had a class called, I don't know, introduction, right? If I wanted to select this class and make everything inside this class follow a specific set of rules for the styling, I would start off with the introduction with the dot. Right? Dot introduction, that's basically telling CSS, for every time you see this class called introduction, do these things. Following that so far, Evan? The one with the mic muted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Finally, there's one last thing in CSS that you can select. It's called an ID, right? IDs are just unique identifiers for specific tags. So if you had an ID for I don't know, email form, right? So it would be an identifier that tells HTML there's only one thing that has HTML that has email form in it, and I want you to only style this thing, one thing email form, like this, right?
How
Now,
do we like
of course,
make the ID of something?
make the idea of something. Good question. Good question. So, HTML. All right. So let's say we have. All right. Let's start with this one, Python. Right. To start off with an ID inside the first tag of the element, right? So the one without the backslash. You go ID is equal to, and then you need the two quotes, double quotes, and then add in whatever ID you want to call this. What should I call this? Let's call this. I don't know. Crap. Let's just call it email form, right? To go back to what we did before. So you see, we have this list element, this list item, li list item, with an ID of email form, right? Sorry if this goes a little slow for you guys. I have to record for the guys who aren't here. So I really just want everybody to understand what I'm teaching so we can move on to the really fun stuff later on. Right? So sorry if it's a little slow for today. I know you have you're learning Java, right? You're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good stuff.
Thanks.
Now, what's the really fun thing with CSS, right? Is that you're not limited to just one thing to select from, right? And for a specific set of hello there.
Sorry for being quite late.
No problem, Sasha.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
You're not that late. Don't worry. Fucking hell! Cut my fucking fucker bit me. All right. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get back to work. Sasha, so let me just give you a recap for the CSS real quick. In CSS, we have something to select from, a selector, right? Followed by braces, curly braces, the one that you find just right next to your P key, right next to P on your keyboard. Why the fuck did you? Bastard. And then inside those braces, we have properties. Property, I don't know. One and property with a value, specific value. Property 2 with a different value. Right? That basic Hello there, Romeo. All right, let's get back from the beginning. All right, so in CSS, the way the syntax works is that we have one selector and something that selects specific items from the HTML, and it takes in And after the selector, we have these curly braces, the keys that you find right next to your P, right? And inside the curly braces, we have properties for the item that we selected. And with these properties, we can modify their values, right? So let's say we had an element that we want to select. Elements. Yeah, let's start with elements. So elements are the big tags in your HTML, right? So if you wanted to change in your P tag or H1 tag or div tag, you could do that with CSS. You choose that, and with property, I don't know, you want to text align center, text dash align center, right? So that would censor that's all the text inside the div, right? But you don't have to select just elements in the HTML, right? You can also select IDs, right? IDs, if you want to select an ID from HTML, you're basically selecting a unique part of the HTML that only has this tag. It's the only thing in the HTML that has this tag, right? And to do that, you would start off the name of the ID, and then start that off with a hashtag or a pound sign, or whichever way you like to call it. And then same thing, same business. You add your property and your other value. Finally, one last thing. You can add classes. You can select classes in CSS, right? So you can do a .introduction. So this would be for every single class, every single item that has this class of introduction. They would be affected by the CSS, right? So I don't know. Introduction, we'll just do I don't know, color blue. So everything inside this introduction class will be blue. And simple as that. Now with CSS, you're not limited to just selecting one of these things exclusively, right? You can chain stuff together. That's where you can make some really complex stuff, right? So let's say, let's say we had this thing, this list item, like I had email form and, I don't know, class equals large text, right? Well, how do we modify the only elements with the ID of email form and large text? To do that, you'd combine these things, right? So what you'd want to do, excuse me, you'd want to do hashtag email dash form, and then dot, that's where stuff gets into text dash large dash text, right? That way you can target specific elements that you would like. So you're not limited to just using IDs and making them so obfuscated that you don't quite understand what the IDs mean anymore, right? So I don't know, font dash size 20px, right? So this would just make the email form and all the stuff with the large text class with a font size of 20px, 20 pixels. Hello there, Ben. Hello there, Terrence. All right. So let's start off from the beginning. I don't mind. I'm sorry, guys, but we have to do this. So in CSS, there are two things in CSS, right? Let's start off with the syntax. CSS, you have something to select. I have a selector class, right? It's something that selects a specific element from the HTML and modifies it, right? So after you choose your selector, you have a bunch of properties from the element that you took, and that you can modify with different values, right? So first off, you can modify email IDs in HTML, right? IDs in HTML, they give a unique identifier to each HTML element, and you can only have one ID per tag in HTML, right? And so to select something with an ID, a specific ID that you're looking for, you would use the name of the ID and precede that with a hashtag or pound sign, however you like to call that. Next up, we have the classes in CSS. Right? To start off, same thing with the ID. Classes are just a way to regroup a bunch of different elements under one same name, one same class, one same structure. and it tells the CSS, okay, for each one of these classes, do the same thing to them, right? So to select the class, you would just need to take the class name and add the dot in front of it, right? And then value, property, which is color in this case, and the value, which means you want the color to be blue. And finally, we have the elements, right? The elements are just the basic tags in HTML, the stuff you find inside these carets, right? The H1s, the Ps, on a list items, and images. Hello there, Maxim.
Hello.
Oh, nice accent. So,
What you do in CSS?
yeah, we are doing CSS. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna assume you already know quite a bit, so I don't think I have to repeat what CSS does, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the fun thing with CSS, you're not forced to select just an ID, just a class, just an ID, just an element, just a class, right? You can change these things together to target specific stuffs, right? So let's say we have a block of text called a email form. In this case, it has the ID of email form, and inside we have a bunch of stuff that has the large text class. So if we want to target that one specifically, all the stuff inside the email form that has the large text class, we would do hashtag email form, which will get us the email form ID and all the stuff inside it. And then we would add dot large text, which will get us all the classes with the large text in it, all the stuff with the large text class in it. We would modify that by changing its property to the value of 20px. In this case, the property is font size, and 20px is the value. All right, next. Now, hello there. Hello, Victor.
Hi. What are we doing today?
We're teaching CSS today. Right?
Oh, I know the basis.
Yes.
But I can't really be here because I have to take care of something with my mom. So it's
Uh,
just CSS, right?
it's just CSS for today, but I'm gonna make you guys do a little CSS golf, maybe. Oh, that's fun. It's always fun to do CSS golf and when you try to learn this stuff. After that, no, you don't have to stay here for too long. Not really.
Okay. I will stay for
Okay.
the time I can.
Mm-hmm. All right. So another thing with the CSS chaining, you're not also obligated to do. You're not also obligated to do IDs and classes. You can also do elements. So let's say we wanted to find all of the p tags that were inside a specific div, right? Well, we can just find all the div. We can now find all the p tags that come from a div, right? Here we have the parent. That means the first thing, the thing that holds the child, the thing that's being held. So in div p, I don't know. We want to change all the colors for all the paragraphs to red, right? Something simple, something basic. And we can continue to combine these things together, and I don't know. Let's say we had a header, right? You know what the header does, guys? That's fine. So the header is basically. Go ahead. All right. So the header is basically like if you have a nav bar. So let's say you were to go to Schoology or another websites. The nav bar would just be the big bar with all the buttons on the top. Okay? Yeah, nothing too complicated. But...
Wait, like at the top of the website, like where you can go and like at different parts.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. You got it, Benjamin. All right. So yeah, that's what the header class does. It's just HTML5. It makes it easier for the developer later on to not have to rely on the different stuff. But don't worry about this too much, right? So we have a header class, and we have, header element, and we have this class called main.header, right? And we want to make every single title, the H1s, brown. With the class of brown, we're going to give them the color brown. Color brown. So you see, doing this chaining stuff you can make really complex, really precise, really specific targetings, and you don't need to install too many CSS add-ons to make it do that. Now here's another thing. Let's say you were to have two classes that share a few properties together, right? Let's say we have the I don't know, a H6, H6 and a H3, H4, H3. We want them to both have the same font size, right? Well, that's why if you want to have these things have share properties, you'd use the comma. The comma allows you to combine different properties together for the CSS selectors. So in here, if we were to do I don't know, font dash size 18 px, if we were to do that, both the H6 and the H4 would have their font size property changed to 18 pixels. You guys see why? You guys see why this stuff can get really complex real fast? And here's one last thing. If you guys are familiar with regular expressions, I don't expect you to be so. I think y'all know what the asterisk does. It selects everything, right? If you want everything to be styled a certain way, if you want to add something, if you want to make sure that every single element has something in it, that's when you'd use the asterisk.
So if you wanted like all of it, everything to be red, you would use the asterisk.
Yes, if you want.
Select everything.
The asterisk selects everything inside your HTML, exactly. Yep. Now, it's all fine and dandy knowing how to use the CSS inside the CSS file, right? But how are you supposed to load it? Right? So, as you can see here, well, my HTML file, there's no how am I supposed to find out where the CSS goes, right? Well, there are different ways you can do CSS. First off, very bad. You could do style is equal to. This is called style is equal to I don't know color blue, right? This is very bad at CSS because it just makes stuff so much harder to work with in the future. It's called inline, and while it might be useful in some cases, it rarely ever is. Right? So another way you can work with CSS, if you don't want to go the bad way, here's a slightly less worse way. I know. You go into the header, in the head tag, which is all the stuff that the browser does not render for the user. It's just all the stuff that the browser reads, but the user does not. And you would do style, and then there you go, style. And this creates a style tag, which does the exact same stuff as your CSS files. Right? So if you want to do hashtag email form, oh. And text dash size 10 pixels, right? So yeah, you can do the same stuff inside the style form, but and while this is better than inline CSS, it gets clunky real fast if you have many files to work with. Because imagine you're a company like Schoology, right? I'm always bringing it back to stuff we all know, and we have all these different classes like math, social studies, English, second and third language, physics, and stuff like that. We all have these different web pages to write and then to make. And imagine having to style each single element in these pages in the style tag. Don't you guys think it would get a little hard? I think it would get a little hard. Which is why we made the CSS file, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Right? The CSS file is what I've been writing in right here. The CSS file, you give it a name, any name you want, just remember that name. And you give it the .css ending. Just tell the computer it's a CSS file, of course. That's pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised by how many people don't quite understand that. And to load the file into the,
I have a question.
of course, go ahead.
So, you know how it says like header dot main header? So is main header the class?
Yes, yes, exactly, because it starts with the dots. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what's the space here, right? Well,
Yeah.
it's just to tell CSS that, okay, inside the main header class, I'm looking for an h1, because in h1 it doesn't take anything, right?
Oh, so the H1 is inside the main header.
Exactly. Since it's all one line,
Oh,
you can assume
I was
that's
confused.
yeah. Don't worry.
Why would there wasn't a comma in there?
Yeah, exactly. So they're all. You can think of it a little bit like. This isn't really CSS, but you can just think of it like an arrow, right? So inside. Anyway, you can think of it like an arrow. So inside the header, you have the main header, and inside the main header you have the h1, and inside the h1 you have the brown class, right? So you see, when you're in line like this, in one line, you can just assume everything's one inside another, right? All right,
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Don't hesitate to ask any question, guys. All right. So to load the HTML into your file, you see this link, rel. All right. So link. What it does is tells your HTML page to link itself with a different type of file other than HTML, right? Here, Apple Touch dash icon. That's just. I honestly don't know what the heck that does. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's just the stuff that the boilerplate HTML gives me. But next up we have the link rel relative. What's the relative of the what's the file type? I don't know if a fancy acronym for the rel or what the reason of calling it rel is, but it just gives the file type, right? So if we had a Apple touched icon, like I don't know, if we had that, uh, we would have that in there. Now here we have a style sheet because CSS, as we know, it's for styling web pages. And href, hypertext reference, it's for telling you where the style sheet is, where the file is, right? In this case, it should be in the dot. Dot in file systems, when you put the dot, it means in this directory, in this folder, look for, in this case, index.css. Right? You guys follow me so far? Or is there any questions?
Put the slash.
Go ahead. Ask away.
Do we have to put the dot slash?
No. It's considered good practice, but you're not obligated at all to do so. All right? You guys feel comfortable with CSS? Do you have any more questions for me? Anything you need to know? Anything you'd like to know, sorry?
No,
No?
I think we're good. Yeah.
All right.
pretty straightforward.
All right.
Oh, what's the difference between class and ID?
Of course. All right. That's good. That's a very good
I
question.
feel like they do the same thing.
That's a really good question, actually. All right. So an ID. An ID is only used for one tag. It's targeted one specific tag, right? So here, if we had an email form div, right, we'd call it an email form ID because we only have one of those. Honestly, you don't really use IDs that often, but when you do, it's really easy. It's really good and handy to separate the stuff you only use once with IDs to the stuff you use many times like classes. It's better practice. I know it doesn't make sense why it's better practice, but when you work on big scale projects, it's much better to separate the stuff and give each stuff its own order, its own unique thing, rather than have different unique classes, which end up making more conflicts in the long run when people start giving each other the same names for stuff. But for now, since we're working on such small stuff, it doesn't really matter. It's just really nice to know. All right. Let's see. Next up, let me just read my lesson plan. I don't think I need to teach you guys how to use this. Let me find the website for Css Battle. All right. So let's start off with something really fun. I like to do this quite often. It's called CSS Battle, right? All right. So you can see here, right? So CSS Battle, what is this? Right. Well, it's a really fun website that tests your knowledge with CSS. But don't worry, it's not that complicated. So you choose your battle. So start with the pilot battle, right? Yank. Yeah, let's do yank. Right. So in CSS, and now what we're looking for is to just make a with this element right here, make it look like this one right here, right? All right, that's fine. So we would have this div called this one right here, and we're just trying to make this stuff look like this stuff, right? Now, what's the first thing we can do right here to get the... I don't know, let's try to make this background, the white stuffs, into this more dark brown stuff, right? How do we do that? You guys can look this up, don't worry. There's nothing against... I have nothing against that.
Well, since we got the background code we need, we could just replace it from the one we already have.
Alright, let's try that.
Yep.
Ah, well, look at that.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Yeah. So, if we want to change the background color, how do we do that?
Well, background color, I believe.
In what tag?
That's the common code.
In what tag? No, we do it in HTML. Like this. Background dash color. Like this, right? See? Alright. So we got this done. We got the background color done. And here, we need to make this, right? Don't know how many pixels this is, and let's change the color to this one. Right? So we got this, right? We got the same background color. We got the same color for the square, but the square's not as big as we want it to be. Now let's just start randomly changing pixel values, right? 150 is not enough. 200. Let's see if 200 works. Looks like 200 just barely works. Let's see 200 here. All right. And padding, none. Margin, none. Boy, that's weird. Eh. Alright, so let's...
Axim?
Yep. It's Terrence.
I'm not sure about this, but maybe the margin is already on the how do you say?
HTML?
On the HTML page.
Alright, so let's try that on the HTML then. Let's try that out then.
This is just a hypothesis. Again.
Hello there, Sammy.
Maybe margin 0, or does it have
Margin
anything
0?
to do with this?
Maybe margin 0. Let's try that. 0. That didn't look like it worked. Well, you know what to do when you get stuck. You look it up. Remove all margin padding around div. Right? How do you remove the default padding between the divs? Right? Look here. Here's that. Margin equals 0. Margin padding. Alright, let's try this. Let's try this and see if it works. There we go. Alright, look at that, guys. We got the right thing. Alrighty. Alright, so let's submit this. And what's it telling us?
Sorry, what's happening?
Look at this.
So,
That's fine. Don't worry. Alright, so right now I'm giving you guys a website where you can practice your CSS and try to you can practice your CSS and try to make it copy and hone your skills, basically. Now, I don't know, let's give you guys something like Karam, right?
Maxime, I have a question about
Yeah.
this website.
Of course.
If we're ever stuck, is there any way to see the answer about this?
Of course, you guys can look into the leaderboards. You can. I have to change that feature. Sorry. You can do the learn. I think you can do the learn stuff. Yeah. This isn't launching yet. Oh, that's fine. I'm not quite sure because it's meant to be more of a competition. But there has to be somewhere you can do this. But that doesn't matter. Right.
do we need to download CSS?
You don't need to download CSS at all. This is just a website you can join. Css Battle.dev, right?
Okay.
And the aim of the game, usually for most people, it's to write CSS that fits this thing exactly using the least amount of characters. But for you guys, don't worry about the least amount of character stuff. Just try to get something that looks exactly like that. All right?
Do you know how to play like the versus mode? Because sounds like it has a versus mode.
It does have a versus mode. Yes, it does. So sign in. I made all of you guys make a GitHub account. So using this, you just authorize Css Battle to make you a GitHub account and sign that up. And like custom battles. Right. Battle played. Host a battle. Right. Let's call this P in Club Battle. Right. Battle edit. Duration 30 minutes. Description at target. Description. Right, I got battle updated. See this page, right? Now let me see if this gives something. Well, that's annoying. I don't know how you guys are gonna do that. I'm sure there has to be a way for you guys to play together against each other. Choose random. Yeah. So the way you guys would play against each other, there's not really a versus mode like live coding. What you can do is see what their profile. What you can do is just make them your friends onto the website and see their scores on these things and try to beat their scores. That's just friendly competition. There's not really much more I can say about that. Right. Perfect. All right. So guys, can you guys make your own account onto this website using your GitHub account? Username.
Whoa, a custom battle's $200 for 5 minutes.
Custom battles or
Oh, I don't know. It was just like, oh, click here to learn more about custom battles, and it said like small battle, 5 minutes, 24 hours is $200. And if you
oh
scroll down,
yeah, maybe I'm just gonna unhost my battle. Just view battle. Let's delete that. I do not have the capital or the money for this, which is why I would. I really need Audie to help us out with this. Okay, I'm okay with deleting this panel. Oh, and I have CSS Pro. I have HTML lockers there. Alright, let's delete that. Alright.
Maxime,
Yes.
is Blender useful?
Blender, well, that depends for what you're using it for. Because let's say you want to make a animation, right? You're gonna make a
Yeah.
3D model. Yeah, Blender's great for that stuff. I don't remember ever being able to write code in Blender though. Right? It's just not
Oh,
it's just not what Blender was made for.
yeah, Maxime, you're right. But I think there's a way to write Python or something inside.
Really?
But yeah,
I wouldn't think it's very
yeah,
useful Python. So I think it's just more for 3D
yeah.
modeling Python. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, so Terrence,
Oh.
I don't know, Terrence, you can make a CSS Battle account, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can have. How do I fucking delete this? I do not want to lose $200. Thank you, Evan, for telling this about me. I'd have been screwed.
It doesn't let you delete
It
it.
doesn't let me delete. Oh god. Oh. Like, it's actually not letting me delete. Shit. Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, these are little tips and tricks for this stuff. Shit, it's actually not letting me delete this stuff. Oh god. Oh. There we go. That's why it wasn't working. It's that stuff in it. Alright. Oh, thank god for that. Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, just make a CSS Battle thing, and claim you username. Does work. And that's my username. Ashamed consequence. Alright. There we go. Alright, so you guys want to start off trying a bit of you guys want to try out some problems here? Let's start with this one. This looks like fun.
Oh.
Alright. So we have these 4 squares, right? Well, if we have 4 squares, what would that mean? What would we need to do? Get rid of all the CSS for now. Right? We have 4 squares, which means we would need
4 divs.
yeah, 4 divs and 4 different elements. In this case, let's start with divs because this is code golf, guys. It's not too serious. 4 divs, right? All right. Now, how do we make one? What's the size of one of these squares? What do you guys think? 50 pixels? 50 looks about right.
I think maybe less.
Less? 45.
Oh no, it seems good. My bad.
45. 45 px. Yeah, 50 looks about. Yeah, 50 looks about right. Right. So we got the size of the squares down. But how are we going to move them to the corners of the stuff? Right. That's a very good question. How are we supposed to move these things to the corners? Well, let's look it up.
Maybe with margin.
Margin? Maybe. There it is. So you use top, left, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. All right. So let's just do this here. Okay. Style is equal to top, arrow, left, 0. Let's make this right 0 so we can actually see something.
Does it have to be absolute?
Yeah, you're right. There it is. Yep, you see? We got some stuff reaching the top right. We need to get the rest of the stuff going to the top. So here, since this thing, the top right one works, let's go to style. Well, let's get one on the bottom left. How do we do that? And you guys can all answer. Come on,
How
guys.
to do it at the bottom left?
Yeah, if top right gives me top to the top right, how would I do for the bottom left?
Or bottom left?
Exactly. Bottom 0, left 0, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. Look at this. If left isn't 0, but like 5 pixels, look at that. We got a little bit of separation. We want that separation later on, right? Don't we? So what do you guys think we should? So, do you think bottom right, bottom 0 is the best way we can do this? Do you think there's something better we can do?
Well, we have to add more numbers to the
Exactly.
0.
Let's say 25. 25 doesn't look good enough. Let's say 50. 50 looks good. So another 5 here.
Yep, I think 50 looks good.
Yeah, look at that. 50 is good. So we want to get a separation of 50 pixels. 50 pixels. There we go. Look at that. It's all lining up. Oh, look at that. Now this is getting interesting, don't you guys think? It's a little nerdy, I admit, but it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got this, and the last one. Top left. Now look at that. We got all the stuff lined up. Finally, div, change the background color to. We just change the colors, and we just need to change the background color. Background color. This, and paste that. Oh, would you look at that, guys? We got it exactly right. Right. All right, look at that. We got this. We got all the stuff still working out. All right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Now, we could probably save a few characters here, but that's for another day. Now, you guys. Now let's. I don't know. Let's go. I'd like you guys all to just make a little account here and let's try something out. If you look through the battles, find something that looks really cool for you guys. Doesn't matter if it looks complicated. You can always try something simpler. Try something simpler. Try. How the fuck did he get 77 characters there? Hello. How did he get 77 characters? It doesn't matter. So yeah. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, just try anything you like. Look for anything that looks good. Hey, look at this one. Look at this triangle one. You guys think you could do this?
How do you do a triangle?
Ah, well, you see, this is where you just use Google. CSS triangle
Ah, yeah.
div. Right.
Yeah. So I'm doing one right now, so I'll just look it up.
Right to the word top. Alright, so let's. I don't know.
How do you comment in CSS?
Oh, that's a pretty good question. Commenting in CSS. I'm not gonna lie, I don't ever comment my CSS, but I think it's either the pound sign or the hashtag. Just give me a second to confirm this, and Jesus. Yeah, no. So to comment in CSS, same thing how you'd comment in C or JavaScript or other languages like Java. You'd use the asterisk and backslash asterisk and then asterisk backslash, like that. And that's how you comment stuff out. So if you want to say this is how CSS works, see, right, and that just comments it out. So that's how you have comments in CSS. Right. It's around 7 p.m. guys. I think I've taught you everything I needed to teach you for today. Oh, one more thing. Properties. I don't expect you guys to ever memorize this, so don't memorize them. Just look them up if you need to find something out. Everybody does that, so don't worry. All right. And with that, I think I'd like to say goodbye to you guys and have a good week. Oh yeah, and one last thing: if you guys really want to master this during the break or during the vacation, if you read through announcements, I have this HTML CSS JavaScript for web developers. It's fun, it's free, and if you pay just a little bit of money, you can get certified. And yeah, no.
What website again?
Here, let me put this into two announcements. This is a course, right? This isn't the. Are you talking about the game website? Sorry. Yeah, here's. The game website is CSS Battle, right? Just, it's fun. It gets you really fun stuff. And after that, on top of that, we have the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript course for web developers. It gets you the fundamentals down, and I think they explained it to me, and I think they can explain it way better than I could. So I really recommend you guys check that one out. Don't feel obligated to, but it'll really help you out. I'd recommend it. And so with that, yeah, I think this is time for us to say adieu. See you guys.
Thanks.
No problem. See you guys next
Bye.
week. Bye.
Thank you for this lesson.
Bye.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Bon, pour résoudre ce problème. Ça va.
Terrence.